Which high school friend took a path you didn't expect? Girl in my high school was a terrible human being, selfish and totally self-absorbed. I couldn't stand her. One of the shallowest, nastiest people I knew. 20 years later she sacrifices her life trying to help save 3 children, unknown to her, from drowning in a rip current at a local beach. My best friend since I was 5 years old, smartest person I ever knew. She went off to college and got into heroin. She is now serving a life sentence for first-degree murder. The quiet, kinda nerdy guy in the back of my AP calculus class is now the CEO of Playboy Thailand. I kinda wonder what he was doing in the back of your AP Calc class to become the CEO of Playboy Thailand. You don't wonder, you know. Low achiever. Used to goof off in class all the time. Bit of a class clown. Used to tell everyone that her goal was to be a trophy wife so she could watch TV all day. Has shown her designs at Paris Fashion Week and has dressed several celebrities. You could have knocked me over with a feather when I was flicking through a copy of Vogue Australia on my lunch break and there was a 4-page article on her in there. I was so happy. She always had a heart of gold and I feel like her teen self was a reflection of what her family thought for her. She deserved to be much more than someone's wife. Average guy at school, dead through alcoholism by his mid-20s. It was apparently asphyxiation that got him. I had a crush on a girl that was a real sweet, quiet girl. Not long ago saw her picture on the news for boosting cars. She was not so cute anymore. When I was 10 I sat next to the sweetest boy in our class. All the other boys I had sat next to in junior school were mild asshats. I remember I lent him my Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory VHS and he lent me the Muppets Take Manhattan. We went to different high schools when we were 12. I heard that at 16 he had been arrested for armed robbery. I still can't believe it. What the hell happened to that kind and gentle boy between 12 and 16? Had a friend that was the weirdest guy I'd met. He'd often yell random stuff for no reason, do every kind of accent, and was just generally awkward around people. Saw him a few years after and he was dressed to the nines. Very clean cut and socially well adjusted. Complete 180 from high school. Made me rethink all my life's choices up until that point, since I was not doing so hot in life. Not a friend. But I went to middle and high school with a girl who went into acting, became a Power Ranger. A friend of mine is a talented artist with a deep passion for video game design. He worked on projects for indie devs all through high school, and I thought it was certain he would quickly become an artist for some dev studio soon after. He now works as a furniture salesman. I wanted to work on games since high school, and tons of folks were convinced I'd be working in gaming after hearing the horror stories about the game industry. Lack of job security and constant layoffs. I'm happy as a stock person. I did some freelance work for an indie game developer as a freshman in art school. I thought I was destined for a glorious future in illustration and design. I did coffee shop art shows for a decade while working in bars/coffee shops, and now tattoo in a low-level seasonal vacation shop and do murals for local businesses. High school meth dealer and local lunchroom pot/cigarette vendor ended up being roommates senior year. 2 months after graduation they both joined the Las Vegas PD. Switch team Y or N. Why? The teams have been auto-balanced. There was this guy who bullied me and destroyed my self-esteem on a regular basis. He became a really successful vegan chef. Has his own restaurant, cookbooks, has been on talk shows to cook/promote his stuff. Fuck him bro. Thanks dude. No. He's saying you should track him down and fuck him. There were two that really stand out. One of them was a girl who got in a fair amount of trouble. She skipped school, had a bad attitude and was more interested in hanging out with friends than learning. She ended up becoming a lawyer and eventually became the assistant DA of a city with about 3 million people. The other was a nice guy, got along with most everyone. I even considered him a friend and hung out with him on occasion. He came from a great family and, while he didn't get the best grades, he was good at things like fixing cars, so I assumed he would end up going into that field. Instead, he started a career in drinking. By the time he was 30 he had been in jail several times, in rehab a couple of times, had been arrested numerous times, had 2 restraining orders on him from former girlfriends, and had burned so many bridges with his family they had given up on him. Now in his mid-40s, he still lives in that same town. He looks like he is in his 60s, is on disability, and likely doesn't have much of a future as he continues to drink himself away. Elizabeth the badass party chick. She was the brilliant and quietly rebellious type. She was pulling and getting away with shit that most of the guys branded as troublemakers in school could only dream of, because she had the sense and savvy to not show off to the world. She wasn't doing shit for the attention. She was just doing it because that's what she wanted to do. So smoking, heavy drinking, some drugs, staying out all night, whatever, she could outdo anyone else. Anyway, a little over 10 years later I caught up with her and found out she was a triathlete and overall health nut. The happy surprise, one of the girls I went to school with kind of came from the wrong side of the tracks. Nice kid, but her family was known to be pretty trashy, and she dropped out of community college to be a stripper. A few years later, she got her shit together, and now she's a corporate lawyer. The not so happy surprise. Dude was brilliant. He came from a wealthy family. He was good at sports. He was a hilarious person to be around. Even at the time, it was no secret that he had his demons, but he was just so damn smart that it seemed like if he could grow out of his adolescent angst, everything would be fine. Again, wealthy family, bright, good looking. Bro didn't exactly have to hit a home run to do okay in life. I believe he's working part-time at the grocery store now, but he may have gotten fired again. Or he might be back on disability, or maybe he's working at Pizza Hut. It's always hard to keep it straight, because he doesn't tend to hold down any particular job for long. Honestly, if he weren't such a nice person, there might be a hint of schadenfreude there, but as it is, it's just tragic. He really was brilliant. And he really was a wonderful human being, but there weren't enough advantages in the world to save him from himself. The most brilliant girl I knew, second in our graduating high school, was also one of the most lively and outgoing people I knew. She could befriend anyone. She was so fun and energetic and thoroughly enjoyed living life. I thought she was destined for so much success. She ended up passing away last year, just a couple months shy of her 24th birthday after a lengthy, private battle with cancer. When I found out about her illness, it was already terminal, and when she passed away, all I could think was how unfair it was that someone with so much potential, someone who did everything right in life, could die like that. Her death really got to me, and as the 1-year anniversary is approaching, I constantly remind myself to make the most of every second of my life, because hers was cut so short. I homeschool, so I guess I didn't see my brother going down the path of hip hop. No one expects hip hop, or the Spanish Inquisition. He was 2 years younger than me, absolutely brilliant, and went to Stanford after high school. Died in his sleep from a heart attack at age 20 while visiting family in China. He had an undiagnosed heart defect, so yeah, that was pretty unexpected. R.I.P. Kevin. Very plain looking, nice but quiet girl I went to high school with. Never would had thought she would go on to become one of the top 20 supermodels of all time. Married a very famous rock star. She's a sweetheart, one of my dearest friends, and checked in on me almost daily for close to a year when I lost my daughter. A really nice and shy guy who liked Queen and played guitar a bit. Became a bass guitarist in #1 rock band in Ukraine. Not really a friend as I didn't run with their crowd, but like at every school there was the really popular girl, pretty, cheerleader, everybody liked her, wealthy parents, etc. I'm sure you knew someone like that yourself. Just maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago she got arrested and charged with several felonies for possession of meth, prescription painkillers, and a large amount of weed. I moved away from that town years ago and haven't really kept in touch with a lot of the people from there. However, a buddy of mine sent me a picture of the report in the newspaper and was like, remember her? Definitely didn't expect it, that's for sure. Ladies man guy with a big ego. He was fun for about 5 hours before you needed a break from him. Anyway, he slept with like a good 1/3 of the cheerleaders, had a 4-way with some girls on the volleyball team. Senior year he screwed a bunch of the drama girls. He loved hanging out with the drama girls, slept with them all of the time, and they became his flavor of choice. Turns out he cared less for the cheerleaders and drama girls and more about cheerleading and drama guys in a gay porno now, and does some off-Broadway shows. Hey, a lot of straight male actors are in gay porn. Niches earn a lot of money. A person's gotta get that coin somehow. Also the possibility of being bisexual or sexually fluid. I'm pretty sure he'd be running low on sexual fluid by now. Best friend in high school. His stepdad was a district attorney and apparently they didn't get along at all. This was the Bible Belt Southeast. I met him in the 10th grade as I smoked weed and he happened to sell it. He lived in a trailer park and financed it with his weed sales. My parents hated him. after he graduated from high school while living 100% on his own. He did 2 years of college before getting accepted in a major medical university program that actually paid him to be there. He is now a pharmaceutical engineer living in Switzerland. My parents were surprised to hear that. So he's still a drug dealer, a super intelligent one, don't get me wrong. But it seems like he's had the same motives driving him this whole time. Guy who sat behind me in hometown was a good student, but not an intellectual superstar by any means. After I relocated to Eastern PA, turns out he was in Western NJ, multi-millionaire, former CEO of a pharmaceutical company, great guy, super happy for him, but truly unexpected. A guy I was friends with in drama club became a professional drag queen. No one knew he was gay. I almost dated the guy. We made out once on a school trip. It was your fault. Most unexpected is the guy who lured someone into a park and murdered them. Equally surprising one is the guy who was pretty much morbidly obese from year 7 through year 13 going off to join the army. He used to constantly try and escape from exercise at school, then passed basic training. Equally surprising. Is it though? This is a gold sponge gar. It only appears once every 1 million sponge gar appearances. Like the video within 5 seconds for good luck. PG! On top, food chain, won't stop, new game, hot box that blue haze, 1 lock, 2 chains, no bras, 2 babes, mic drop, new stage, lights in my rear view, 5 cops, food race, faster than a Tesla, they say I'm exhausted.